friend, please hear this. You are loved. You are valued. You are needed. Let's talk about why mental health is so important. Stay tuned. I'm Ashley White, the host of Joy on the Journey podcast, a weekly podcast all about defining, finding, and maintaining joy on the journey of life. I have the privilege of introducing so many amazing, incredible women to the podcast. And today is no different. Y'all, I have a very special guest. This is Miss Danielle White. Danielle has an extensive amount of experience working with vulnerable populations, including working in the local county jail, homeless shelters, and hospice care centers. Danielle, sis, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored.
Absolutely. Y'all, I also failed to mention Danielle is my soror and my line sister
Yes, I am.
of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We in good company,
Yes,
y'all.
we are.
So, Danielle, the podcast starts the same for every guest, and that is to ask, how do you define joy?
So when you originally request for me to be a part of the podcast, and I know the theme of your podcast and the reason why behind your podcast, it really had me thinking of this question. And so I would say you can't have joy without having gratitude.
Oh,
And that's how I would define it. So many times when we think about certain avenues within our lives, we have, oh, we want that joy, we yearn for that joy, but in order to have it, I believe you have to be thankful for where you've come. And sometimes we'll try to hop in front of vulnerability
mm,
so we can get to joy. So let's say if something great is happening, but then life happens. You're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen.
yeah.
Right? So we automatically try to get in front of those moments instead of just looking at, you know what? Yes, I want to have joy, but I'm thankful for this moment and being grateful for wherever God has led you, wherever your journey may be. That's the ultimate definition of joy. Is being thankful for where you're going, where you've been, and where you currently are standing right there.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good and a great perspective to always find something to be grateful for, even if the day isn't perfect,
Exactly.
to find something. I want to follow up on that and see if you've ever had moments where you had to stretch for things to be grateful for.
Absolutely, absolutely, and probably it will relate towards my illness. I've been diagnosed since the year 2000 with ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and just having those moments of, okay, I have to go back in the hospital again, or the doctor's coming back in with another report, or that day I used the restroom and it was 72 times that day,
Mm.
and it's like, okay, what am I grateful for? Oh, you know what? I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful that I still have the strength to walk myself to a restroom. I'm grateful that I have amazing family and friends that would support me on my journey. And so, even in those moments where I was probably at my weakest, physically and mentally, I
Mm-hmm.
still tried to find something to provide myself some type of gratitude, of understanding why, my reason why I still don't know sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
of why I was chosen, but I'm thankful that I was chosen to go on this journey because that allowed for me to help so many.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to talk about some people experience a life changing moment. It
Mm-hmm.
stands out to them. They know exactly, like, life shifted right in that moment. And you've described that moment as when you were diagnosed with your condition at the age of 15. Can you share the impacts of your condition?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Crohn's disease, or the commercials, ulcerative colitis. And what it is an inflammatory bowel disease where you have ulcers through from your esophagus all the way down to your anus muscle.
Mm.
And so, of course, if you have ulcers, then if they scrape, it could lead to having blood in your stool and just have pain completely. But during that process of me being diagnosed, it was not a common illness that a lot of
Mm.
people talked about.
Okay.
So I'm 15, I'm passing out, and my mom's taking me to Texas Children's Hospital trying to find answers. But most people that look like me don't have this diagnosis. So
Mm.
I'm still going through all these tests to try to figure out what do I have. And through that process, my pediatrician said, it looks like it's Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. We're going to go with that. And so he found me an amazing GI doctor, and that doctor was able to diagnose me. I say all that to say it took that journey of, well, maybe, are you sure it's you? Because people of color don't really have this illness. And
Mm.
are you sure it's just not a stomach ulcer? And you sure it's not that? Me and my mom stood there and was like, we're not leaving until you give us an answer. And in that process, I was able to kind of just grow and understand, oh, my life will never be the same. Once you have
Really?
that diagnosis and somebody walks into your room and tells you, hey, so this is what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't have it yesterday. Possibly I did, but there was no name attached to it.
Right,
And
right.
so now at that moment, it allowed for me to understand, oh, my life will never be the same from this particular moment, because everything attached to me now will be also attached to this illness and medication and everything else that comes along
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that. In my head, I can picture relief of, okay, at least
Mm-hmm.
I have a name for it.
Absolutely.
But then on the flip side of that same cone is, oh wait, now I have a name. Now I know everything that it impacts
Mm-hmm.
and what may happen in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, over the last several years, you've had several medical procedures and lengthy recovery periods. What do you contribute to the strength that we see and witness today?
I would have to say my mom.
Mm.
I would definitely have to say my mom. The day that I was diagnosed, November 11th, 2020, when the doctors walked into the room and gave me a title, a name to what it was. We both processed it together,
Mm-hmm.
and then she said, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. And she
Mm.
left and
Mm.
let me process it myself. And knowing my mother, she's a strong woman and always taught her daughters to do that and reflect that as well. So she came back maybe after an hour or two and she said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And she says, okay, what I'm about to say is going to be harsh, but
Mm.
it's reality. She said, the world does not care that you have this illness.
Woo!
Exactly. That's how I felt at 15. And she says, everything that I told you that you were going to do, you're going to go to college. You still going to have to clean up your room, clean up that kitchen. She said, you will not live your life defining yourself based off this diagnosis.
Ooh.
And that has given me the strength to continue to move forward and accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish because of that statement and that moment with her in that hospital room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was shocking. I didn't understand it really at 15, but as I've grown older, I definitely reached back to that moment and realized, oh, that nobody really else does care. This is how I'm going to handle this situation
Mm-hmm.
moving forward.
Wow. I think that is so powerful because sometimes in those moments, especially our parents, right,
Mm-hmm.
who love us so much, they want to protect us and
Absolutely.
keep us safe from all hurt, harm, and danger.
Mm-hmm.
But her transparency of this is what you have, but it is not who you are.
Absolutely.
And she stopped you in that moment from spiraling and going,
Mm-hmm.
we still gonna do
Yeah.
all the things
Yep.
because you are capable and able to do all those things. So let me ask, all the things that your mom mentioned that day, have you accomplished?
I did. I did. So the biggest thing was you could not go to college in Houston. You could
Really?
not go to college in Houston, and the school you selected could not be at least within an hour of
Okay.
Houston. She wanted you to gain some type of independence. So I did. I moved to University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, and I accomplished that goal. I only stayed for 2 years because my illness progressed, but I was still able to experience those moments at North Texas. So then, even still, the doctor's like, well, we can put her on SSI. She's like, no, we're not even going to discuss SSI. We're going to continue on. So between surgeries, I would take a class or two, have a surgery. Take a class or two, have a
Wow.
surgery. And then when my sister graduated from college, I took her black cap and gown and I took a picture of myself in it and I would just have it hanging up in my closet. Like, oh, I'm going to actually one day wear a black cap and gown. And then it actually happened in 2011. I actually was able to walk across the stage. So, yes, her main goal was for her daughters to graduate with a bachelor's degree. And I did that. Now, I've excelled from that moment. But
Yes.
yes, I've done that.
Excellent. Excellent. And so if there is someone watching that is just got diagnosed or they're going through treatment for a diagnosis, I'm sure you get asked this often, but I can't not
Yeah.
ask. What advice would you give to them to remain grateful and to hold on to who they were before the diagnosis?
I would let them understand and really hold on to the fact of we all evolve and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the diagnosis is there, but learn everything you need to know about that diagnosis for yourself, regardless of what the diagnosis is, because it's something that you now have to have a part of your life in some capacity. So if it's pertaining to food, like what my diagnosis is, figure out what you need to do to help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, doctors are amazing and they're going to be able to help you along the journey, but you should also have some type of knowledge of
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with your body. That one, as well as be thankful. Look around you and be thankful for the moments that you have your family around. The moments that, for me, my disease is pertaining to a restroom,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm thankful that I can walk to a restroom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that I'm able to, still have fun with my friends and things of that nature. So be thankful for the small things. And then if you ever have to actually be in a hospital, look around and see what others are actually experiencing and going through. That's probably where I gained a lot of my strength. My room stayed popping at Texas Children's Hospital. It did. But then I realized you had the little girl next door that no one came to visit her.
Yeah.
Or you had the baby down the hallway that parent couldn't visit because they had other kids at home. So being thankful for those moments, as well as just the little things. I can hear, I can see, I can speak. I have the capacity to make the right decision or the wrong one at that particular moment. So just be thankful for everything that you can be thankful for. On top of understanding, may not understand why I have this diagnosis, but through it all, I know I was chosen for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so powerful. One of the things you just mentioned is knowing everything that you can know about your or the condition you have been diagnosed with. How important is advocacy?
It's huge. It's definitely huge because, well, back in the day, in November 2020, when I would go to support groups, no one in the room looked like me.
Mm.
It was not a population where we really discussed a restroom disease, right? And so when I kind of did my family history, I'm like, hey, did anyone have anything like this? They're like, oh, you know what? So and so did have a weak stomach. And I was like, well, maybe they had the illness, but I still couldn't find anyone that looked like me. So I started doing it on my own. I started reaching out and trying to find people who, what I call now gut sisters. We all have the similar illness and we'll exchange ideas of, hey, how did this medication work? Hey, did you eat this and how did it respond to your body? So just reaching out to other people to actually understand and recognize that, yes, I have this illness, but they also do as well. How can we combine together to be able to support each other as we going on this journey that we really don't know what the end is going to look like.
Right. And I think that also speaks to, yes, the importance of of community, but also being willing to be vulnerable with the things that you're going through. Like,
Absolutely.
hey, are you? Yes. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. I actually love it though. Like if I find someone that says, "Oh, I know a loved one who has a diagnosis with Crohn's disease," I'm like, "Really? Okay, give them my phone number, and we'll just have a conversation about living with this illness." And I when they say, "Don't tell people," I understand what you're going through. I can truly understand why it's important because I heard it most of my. Oh, Danielle, my stomach hurt too. I understand what you're going through. I'm like, you really don't.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you trying to find empathy along the way. But having that connection with someone who, if you describe our stomachs, someone grabbing your intestines and twisting it around, like inside your body, like, yes, that's what it feels like. It's a completely different connection.
Right.
So me being vulnerable, sharing my experiences, just to help out somebody else to feel comfortable living with this illness, I think I've done my job then.
You have definitely educated, and so it's not necessarily not seeking sympathy,
Yeah.
not even needing the empathy, but wanting people to understand just in case they do come across somebody else that has been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Oh, I know somebody else with it. I now know how to be empathetic, to be understanding if their bathroom needs. Listen, it's a problem one over here. Being able to make those accommodations.
Absolutely.
For folks. And so over the past several years, mental health and taking care of your traumas, those have become common themes. But when did you become passionate about helping folks get healed and cope well?
It would probably be as a teenager.
Really?
I spent a lot of my time at Texas Children's Hospital. My 21st birthday was at Texas Children's Hospital. And so what really connected me was the fact my doctors used to call me Smiling Danny around the hospital, to the point where I was a little bit older to be in Texas Children's Hospital, but they still allowed for me to still be there. And so if a patient down the hallway was having a colonoscopy coming up, the nurses would come in the room. Hey, Danielle, can you talk to this patient? They're going in and they're very nervous about having a colonoscopy. Okay. And I started just helping people out that way. Or if they had a different type of procedure that I'm very familiar with. Okay. So it kind of started in the hospital, actually,
Wow.
of me just connecting with other ones. Like, she's always smiling. She's always happy, regardless if we say, what's your pain level? It's 10. And I'm just smiling the whole way through. I don't know where I got that strength from. But in that area, I was just like, well, I mean, this is how my life gonna be. So let me help someone out, and that allowed for me not to really focus on what I was going through in those moments, and understanding also I did have a room full of people. Like I always had my friends would come hang out on the weekends to give my mom a break so she can go do whatever she need to do, but allowed for me to still have that connection. But when I'm connecting with those patients down the hallway, I realized I didn't have that same type of connection that I did with my social circle. So yeah, that is really how I started as a
Wow.
young girl is in that type of area.
Is recognizing that you had the gift of helping people calm down,
Mm-hmm.
relax, then explain the procedure, but also, hey, you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
I'll be here when you get back. We'll talk about
that's
it.
it.
That's incredible. I did not know that. And so, one of the places that you are serving currently has led you to serving in local county jails, psychiatric hospitals, homeless shelters, hospice center settings. How have those experiences changed you?
Well, as a kid, my mom always taught us that people who have different experiences than us are not to be judged.
Mm.
So, of course, during that present time, people were going to jail left and right in the community that I lived in,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "We don't judge them. We don't pass judgment of why they went to prison or why they have this going on. You just find a way to love them in spite of." And so, as I started going through my mental health journey and wanting to help people out in that field,
Mm-hmm.
my first area was actually skipping school, going to the Andrea Yates trial, the individual who drowned
Y-
all five of her kids in Houston. Yeah. And
Wait, you skipped school to go to the trial?
I did. And actually, the judge knows my mom. And then eventually I got permission to start coming. And
Okay.
so at that point, I was able to go in and sit through that trial. And at first I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be a lawyer. But then I used to watch her every single day and realize she's on medication. What happened for her to shift in that moment and drown all five of her children?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? No, I'm more lean towards psychiatric. And that's the reason why I started really diving into mental health is because of that one case. And then I
Wow.
noticed around of just the trauma between our community or just individuals in Houston area. I was like, huh, mental health is big, but no one's really talking about it, especially at that point
Mm-hmm.
in time. Then I thought about my own mental health, like of how having this diagnosis it shifted me to be the woman that I'm developing at that time to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really kind of just lit the fire under me and started to charge first and not really care about the one who's sitting across from me. Find some type of ways to connect with them
Mm-hmm.
and provide them some type of love. And if I'm able to reach one person a day, I've done my job.
Wow. I did not see that coming at all. And it's so interesting to me how people can find glimmers of, I wonder what happened there.
Hmm.
It's deeper than, what the news says, it's deeper than even what a trial could reveal, because no one can know what she or any person that's going through a crisis is actually thinking and
Absolutely.
feeling.
Hmm.
But then, as a therapist, do you approach your clients with the hope that you can help them?
I approach them as I'm finding a way to connect with you.
Okay.
So if I can help you along the journey, that's my goal, of course, to try to provide some type of comfort as you're going through this journey of life. But at the same time, if I can help them in a little bit, open their eyes to understand of what has transpired, give them some ideas within my questioning of, hey, um, have you thought about it this way? Have
Mm-hmm.
you understanding why they responded this way? Or you only have control of yourself. You have no
Mm.
control of other people. So if I can just provide them some type of extra knowledge for in a lane that they've never even looked in, then allows for me to assist them I'm like, if it helps it, okay. If it doesn't, at least they now have the idea of
Wow.
what to possibly can happen in the future.
Mm. And so, given the weight of responsibility that you have and the importance of your work, how are you taking care of you?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Okay.
I do disconnect. I'm
Okay.
really good at disconnecting, right? And so, and my disconnection probably sounds different. I love Judge Judy, so I will watch Judge Judy.
What just happened here?
Yeah, I love Judge Judy. So I would disconnect and just watch Judge Judy because it has nothing to do with nothing or Family Feud, nothing to do with nothing or HGTV. Like those are my disconnect where I don't have to. Sometimes I watch Law and Order, but it takes me down that rabbit hole,
Oh
right,
yeah.
of
Oh
what's
yeah.
going to happen. So just something where I can just kind of disconnect and not worry about, oh, well, what about this or what about that? And Judge Judy is just Judge Judy, so she has her own little world. But then I also am very mindful of my circle,
Okay.
mindful of who I allow into my personal space, who I allow to be vulnerable with,
Mm-hmm.
who I allow for, is it a one way reaction or one way relationship?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very mindful of that, and that allows for me to deposit into my own self care. And then actually, my prayer life, my connection with God, is definitely keeps me sane. Making sure I have my praise and worship music that I listen to on a consistent basis. Make sure I listen to whatever minister God deposited into my mind, to channel in that moment, so I can grab a hold of to the strength that I need from just that message. And that really allows for me to replenish, so I can again go pour back out
Yeah.
to someone else.
Earlier, before we started recording, you were telling me about a worship song that's really ministering to
Yeah,
you. What's the song?
it's called Yet, and I think the group is the King is coming. I think that's the name of the group. But the song is Yet, and the first word, her first line is, God, don't give up on me yet.
Hmm.
And she continues to go on and explain of, I know I haven't been my best, but please don't give up on me yet. And as you listen to it, she's just kind of explaining, just pouring her heart out in a very vulnerable state of, I know I'm out here wilding out, and I know your word, but please don't give up on me yet. I'm trying. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really trying, and I think that is such a great connection, because sometimes life happens, and it's sad to say, but some people put God on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we want to have that genie in the bottle moment. Oh, Lord, hey, don't forget about me. But in those moments of just understanding, yes, don't give up on me yet, but I have my responsibility I have to do to make sure our relationship
Mm-hmm.
stays pure. And so it's an amazing song. You have to listen to it. I'll send it
Absolutely.
to you.
Absolutely. It'll be tagged in the description so you
Yes.
too can check out Yet. We're gonna get the actual name of the people
Yes, we are.
too. um, I wonder, as you are going through your doctoral studies, you have a few more papers and things to get through.
2 more chapters, Lord. 2 more chapters.
Two more, okay? So hopefully by the time this comes out, she will have completed all the things. What does this mean to you?
It means that what I put my mind to, I actually can accomplish.
Come on.
And I was not the greatest student,
Okay.
right? So if I think about my high school years, I just went to school, back in the hospital. Went to school, back in the hospital. I was just happy to get out. Even for my undergrad, I was just taking classes just so I can graduate, to show my mom, hey, I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
But then my master's, I graduated with my undergrad with a 1.7 GPA.
Wow.
And I remember applying, because I have just blind faith. I remember applying to all these schools and like, I'm gonna go to masters. I'm gonna get a master's degree. And I got all these rejection letters. Like, ma'am, you should probably go retake a couple of classes before. And then what shocked me was, one day in my alone time, it was like, reach out to the dean. And that's what I did at Lamar University. And I said, give me one semester and I can prove myself in one semester. And he did.
Wow.
He gave me one semester, and for then on, I was accepted into Lamar University so I can complete my master's. Then on a whim, I applied to Sam Houston. And then for my doctoral degree, and they called me in for an interview, and I was like, really? Okay. And then when I got accepted, I was like, really? Okay. And so it just allows me, like, hey, if you have the small deposit and you hand it over to God, he'll take it to a totally different level. I would never have thought, right? I used to always joke around, oh yeah, y'all gonna call me doctor. But I had no idea that date could actually come and I could see it. in front of me, but I'm just enjoying the journey on the ride.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And I think that's a powerful lesson too of one of the words that you speak.
Yeah.
You were calling yourself Dr. Danny, and
Yeah.
now people are like, wait, you, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
And being mindful of what comes out your mouth, because it's so easy for us to gravitate to the negative. You can just turn on TV and do that and find something negative. But if you can just grab on hold on to what exactly the future goal that you want to accomplish in spite of what's going on, like, nope, I'm still going to make it to that day. Nope, I'm still going to, but enjoy the journey as you're going through that process. Sometimes we so gravitate to the outcome. But it's that journey process, right? It's that those bumpy roads that you learn something along the way. And then when you get to that goal, you can be forever grateful and have that joy that we talked about earlier, to be able to kind of understand of, yeah, it was bumpy and it was hard, but I'm thankful for the bumpy ride because I'm able to be grateful to actually make it to the destination in my way, with the assistance of God, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we let you go, we have to talk about one of the products that you released about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Is your journal.
Yes.
Share with the audience the backstory to the journal.
Absolutely. So it actually happened during COVID. I was alone again in my quiet space, and a saying just popped into my brain, which was counterfeit season is over. And I was like, okay, Lord, what does this mean? And it really meant we all walk around smiling like everything is great, the world is amazing, nothing's wrong with me. And in reality, that is not true. Right? And so I learned through that process of that we have three truths. That's what I defined it as, three truths. You have the truth of your parents and the upbringing. You have the truth of society, go to college, get married, all this other good stuff. Then once you become an adult, you kind of roll over into, well, who am I? What am I supposed to accomplish? Do I really want to wear a petticoat under my dress to go to church? Do I really want to wear stockings? Or that's because what my mama did? Do I need to eat at this restaurant every week? Or that's because society tells me to do? So in those moments, I realized you have to really be comfortable with who you are in every avenue. So don't walk around as counterfeit, because eventually the real you is going to show up. And are you really walking around as your representative? So are you really having authentic relationships with people? Or are you just kind of coasting it, and then if you allow someone that close to come into you, then you allow for them? Well, is that fair? So that's what I kind of learned through that process of just being your truthful self. The truth journey. Regardless of it's finances, it's your everyday life, your friendship circle. Just being honest. So if you tell me, well, Danielle, how you feeling? I'm going to be honest. I don't feel good. My leg hurt. My foot, I'm going to be honest with my response versus the American way. Everything is great. Everything is fine. No, being honest with yourself and not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, even with people that you possibly wouldn't even be vulnerable with. So yes, that counterfeit season is over. The Truth Journal.
That is phenomenal. And I think for me, the message in that is you don't have to fake the funk, right? Like, how is it helping you to tell somebody else that you're doing great when really your whole world is crumbling?
Yeah. And how are you missing out on your blessing? Because you want to sit here and save face. That person you talking to could be who God delivered for you in that moment to help you along that journey. But because of your own pride, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Everything is great. I don't need my light bill paid. I don't need this going on. What about if you have the answer, they'll be able to assist me? But I blocked it because I want to continue to be this representative. That's not fair. And then you want to go back and go home and pray about it. Well, God is like, hello, I sent it to you.
Yeah.
You chose to ignore it. So.
Oh, that's so, so good. And hard at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you're trusting anyone, right? With your vulnerability. You're trusting someone with your honesty. And I don't know what you're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
But that goes back to you don't know. So what do you have to lose? You potentially could have everything to gain.
Exactly.
It's all about your perspective and your mindset.
Exactly.
Awesome. So if someone was interested in the Truth Journal, where can they find it?
They can actually find the Truth Journal on two websites. You can do it on neverwalkalone.uc, or you can go to dannylove.uc.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So before we let you go, we conclude every podcast with your journey ahead. So, as you are praying and believing God for amazing
Oh,
things,
Jesus.
what do you envision for yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Happy and at peace. What I would say would be my main area, regardless of it. But I would love to have a legacy, whatever that looks like.
Mm.
Regardless if it's my or pertains to my illness or mental health or whatever God has for me, create a definitely a legacy for myself. If a forever plus one comes along, that would be amazing as well. But I've always envisioned myself, I don't want to say similar to a Dr. Phil
Okay.
or a Frasier, because I like that show too. It's
What is happening?
I know. I'm kind of out. But
No,
yes,
you said Frasier, the TV show?
yes, but he was a psychologist on a radio talking about
Was
mental
he?
health. Yes.
I
With
don't know if I ever
relationship
watched
problems.
Frasier.
Yes, girl, go back. It's the 90s. But yeah, yes.
I'm sure I can stream it somewhere. I'm gonna look it up. Okay.
Yeah, so between them, but of course my own. And so that would be something
Oh.
that I've always wanted to do, is to be able to reach people and just where they can call in or they can sit down and we can just kind of talk about it. So yeah, that would be my vision.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, that's my prayer. That's definitely my prayer.
That is exciting.
Well, come on. Come along with me then.
Oh my God. I can see
You
it.
can? Okay. Well, tell me, because that's definitely been that's something that I always wanted to do and be a part of as I started this whole mental health journey. It's just like, how can I reach more people and just be authentic? And I know everyone has their way of doing it, but I'm like, mental health is something that, of course, our culture, we don't really talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so just a way for them to feel comfortable to have those conversations. And so, yeah, a mixture of Dr. Phil and Frasier. Dr. Danny.
I cannot wait, y'all. The first time she releases an episode or releases a call-in number, I'm going to be sure to update this video with her contact information. But if someone was looking for support, if they were looking for therapy or Crohn's disease support, how can they contact you if they just had questions?
Definitely. I would definitely say if anyone's listening to your amazing podcast and they had any type of thoughts of just self-harm or wanting to harm others or just felt like they're at their lowest, I would ask that they text 988 and reach out to be able to speak to someone immediately. So they'll be able to kind of navigate on those intrusive thoughts that they possibly could have at that moment. Mm-hmm. If someone would like to reach out to myself, of course, you can find me on my website, neverwalkalone.us. But if you just need to speak to a therapist, I would say log online and look up Psychology Today and do your research. Find someone that's actually going to fit your needs, someone that you can actually gravitate to and feel comfortable with, because you're going to have to be vulnerable in those moments. So do your research on Psychology Today and find a therapist in your area. I know in this new climate, everyone's talking about mental health, but at the same time, it's kind of like a doctor or a restaurant. You need to test it out a little bit before you become really comfortable with it. So definitely do your research to connect with someone before you want to sit down on that vulnerable journey that you're going to go on.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much. Thank you, sis. This was excellent. Y'all, Danielle has been such a blessing. So please drop in the comments wherever you're watching the video and let us know how she has blessed your life and blessed your journey thus far. And while you're there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you will never miss an episode. But until we gather again every single Thursday, may God increase your joy, grant you strength for the journey, and give you the courage to tell your story. Bye, friends.